Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel Nutty Chess Tips with me, Nutty T. Today I'm going to show you some tactical and trappy little lines that you can use against a Sicilian with the delayed Alapin. So as usual, check it out. The first moves on the table are e4, c5, knight f3, d6, c3, and if your opponent goes for the main line, which is knight f6, we have this move bishop f2. Now obviously if your opponent goes for the free pawn on e4 with the knight, we have this lovely move boom, and already we have a free knight. So let's go back. What if your opponent goes knight c6? Now we simply go d4. If they take, we take. We haven't got an immediate check on a4 now. If your opponent takes this pawn on e4, d5. Now if your opponent moves the knight to say e5, now we simply have boom. And as you can see, we've got that knight on the next move. So let's go back. What if your opponent goes queen a5 check? We simply cover with the knight. Your opponent will usually take with the knight. We take back with the pawn. And if they get greedy and take this pawn, we simply go bishop d2. And as you can see, this knight is still hanging, and we're also threatening the queen, so they're losing a piece on the next move. So let's go back. What if your opponent spots this little tactic and goes knight e5? Now we simply take this knight on e5. When they take back, we simply castle. If they go g6, ready to fianchetto and castle, we have this move, iron up the weak pawn on b7. Now if they fianchetto the bishop, we have this lovely move d6. Now obviously if they castle, we simply go d7 and this bishop is trapped. So let's go back. What if they take with the pawn? We simply take the pawn with the queen, and now obviously they can't castle. They usually bring the queen back, looking for a queen exchange, and now bishop b5 check. Now if they cover with the bishop, we have this lovely move, bishop g5. If the queen takes the bishop, we simply whip off their bishop. They usually go f6, and now we do this lovely check with the queen. If they move the queen to cover, we simply take the bishop on d7. Now king f8, and now we go rook b7. They usually take the queen, we take back, and as you can see, we've got a lovely attack. They usually take the bishop on g5, and now we simply go in for the kill with this check. If they go king e8, we simply win a free bishop. However, if they go g8, we have this lovely move, skadoosh, rook f3, and it's checkmate. So let's go back. What if they don't take the knight on e5 and they simply go for the check? Cover with the bishop, and now they usually take the knight on e5 with the queen. We castle. If they take the pawn on d5, we have this lovely move, rook c1. If they are looking to castle and they go g6, rook c7. Now if they look to fianchetto the bishop on g7, we go queen a4 check. If king f8, we have this lovely move, kamikaze, and as you can see, this is a beautiful move. If they take the queen, we simply checkmate on the back rank. So they usually go b6, and then we have this lovely move, bishop f3. And as you can see, we're just winning here. So let's go back. If they take the pawn, there is also this move, rook b1. And now we've got another checkmating pattern here. If they go g6, we simply go bishop b5 check. If they go bishop d7, take this bishop. When they take back, we go queen a4 check. And as you can see, this is a beautiful move. King goes back to d8. Rook takes on b7, and we're looking at checkmate in one. So the queen takes, bishop a5 check, king c8, and now it's just boom, checkmate. So let's go back. So what other moves have we got in this situation? Well, your opponent can just go g5. From here, I just recommend d4. Now, there's another tricky line if they don't take this pawn and they simply develop their knight on f6. If they don't take, we're going to take. So we go d takes c5. When they take back, instead of taking this queen, I just recommend this little in-between move, bishop b5 check. If they cover, we simply retreat the bishop to c4. And now we're eyeing up this weak pawn on f7. And now if your opponent gets greedy and takes this free pawn on e4, we have this lovely move, kamikaze, bishop f7 check. Your opponent has to take with the king, and now we simply go in for the kill. We go d5 with the queen check, and this knight is hanging. So that is just losing for black. So let's go back. Now most of the time your opponent is just going to take. We simply take back, and now they usually go bishop g7. We simply go knight c3. And now I've had a lot of games where my opponent just pushes this pawn to a6, looking to get this pawn to b5. If they do this, I just recommend this move, a4. And then later on, we're looking to push this to control this b6 square. Your opponent will usually go knight f6. All we do is stop these pinning ideas with h3. And now obviously we're controlling the square on g4. Your opponent will usually castle here, bishop e2, and then if they move to develop their knight on c6, we just push this pawn to d5. So they usually go b4, and now we develop the dark square bishop to e3. And now, as you can see, we've got these lovely diagonals just eyeing up the black's queen side. And now if your opponent goes something like knight d7, we simply castle, get our king safe. If your opponent goes knight c5, I just recommend this move, a5. We're just keeping an eye on this b6 square. As I said earlier in the video, if they go b5, we simply go en passant. If they get greedy and take the pawn, we have this lovely move, knight a4. And as you can see, if they take with the knight, we simply take off the queen. the queen usually moves to b7, and now we take this knight on c5. They take back with the pawn, and now we simply take the pawn. Look at this position compared to black. So let's go back. So what if your opponent goes knight c6? I just recommend going full on and going d4. Takes, and then what if your opponent goes for the pin on the knight? This is not to be worried about. We have this lovely move, and it is d5. If your opponent tries to attack with knight e5, we have this beautiful move. Are you ready? Kamikaze! And as you can see, they are eyeing up the queen, but we are eyeing up the bishop. So if they get greedy and they take this queen, we have this lovely move, bishop b5. And now they are losing their queen. The only move they can do is queen d7. We simply take the queen. When they move the king out of danger, take the pawn on f7 to take the rook. Also take this bishop on d1. So if you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comments. It all helps. Check out the other videos, and it's nice.